Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel where I help you become a better artist. So today's lesson is all about drawing creatures that you have originally designed and then putting them in different positions and having them look the same. It's a skill that is sometimes a little confusing to learn only because proportions may be incorrect, or you don't really know what's going on with your creature design other than the front of it, because that's the coolest part. You want to show it off. So I'm going to teach you how to do this, and we're going to keep things simple. So this is going to be minimum shading, and I'm doing it with a pen, so there's going to be no erasing whatsoever. I'm going to show you how to start it too. So the first thing I do is I'm just going to put in some basic shapes that I think would be cool for a creature to have. So let's say that you're designing something that has a rather complicated stance. Okay, maybe there's multiple legs. I mean, hey, you can't go wrong with multiple legs, right? All right, so here it's going to be a rather, I was going to say sluggish, and that's kind of ironic because it's going to look like a slug, but it's going to be a sluggish creature, a little Lovecraftian, obviously. So I'm going to put some tentacles here. But I'm not going to be overly detailed, okay? So the majority of the details that I'm going to put in are only for the outline. All right, so once I'm starting to get the shape in here, I'm noticing some areas where I can put in some cool details. Like, for example, right underneath the tentacles. Here, let's darken the edges up here so you can actually see them. Right, like that. And you want to be confident with your lines when you do pen work. Now, everything's not going to be super pretty. Like I said, no eraser. You're at the mercy of your arm doing the strokes with the ink. But you want to continue the line as you go through. Okay, so it looks like this thing is just going to be bent a little bit. Bent as in, imagine a cobra, like a cobra that's about to rear up and bite someone. All right, you have the body that's rearing up in the S shape. I'm going to do that same thing here with the slug, though. And the reason that the outlining is going to be important because that helps establish the silhouette. And you really can't put creatures in different views unless you know what the silhouette is. Everything that happens inside here won't matter. It doesn't matter because that's all, not fluff, but that's all stuff that I can just add later when I deem necessary. All right, so now that we got that turned up here, it's not going to be a large creature either. Okay, so maybe it curls like it's doing right now, like you can see. However, it plants itself on the ground by these appendages that bend. Ooh, this is like really creepy now. All right, so maybe that's how it walks. Maybe it just pushes itself along the ground. Maybe we can put some poison sacs on the side here. Those of you that are wondering, this is the head. These are coming out of its head, and then I guess the mouth is down here. All right, when I say I guess, I'm literally meaning I guess, because we are designing this from scratch. I'm not looking at anything on my computer screen. I'm not looking at any reference. I'm just winging this. Now, those of you that are new to my channel, I design creatures and characters for video games and movies. I currently work at Airship Interactive, and we tend to, as creature designers, we tend to make up a lot of stuff on the fly, but also we're not capable of making up anything on the fly unless we look at reference from nature. And if you guys want more info on, like-minded individuals, if you want to join our Discord, that'd be awesome. Check out the link in the description below. Creature Design Workshop Discord is free to join. The community is growing very, very fast. We have an influx of people coming in every day. You're free to post any new work that you are currently working on, struggling with, and we'll try to help as best we can. Okay. This is like a fun little creature. who knows what creatures look like on other planets? Maybe this poor thing never really evolved well enough to walk, so it just scoots itself around. Maybe it's at the mercy of nuclear testing. Like, I don't know. And you can't complete a slug-like creature without making it look like a caterpillar at the same time. Put some legs in there, have it be creepy looking. We'll do that. Okay. Like I said, I don't really care about details inside there, so I'm ending the design back here with maybe a curly tail behind the legs. All right, but what I am interested in is the face. The face, no matter what you're drawing, is going to usually dictate what's happening with the rest of your creation. So let me elaborate on that. A lot of times when we design creatures and characters, we think about cool things that we want them to wear or have on their bodies. And there is absolutely no emotional attachment whatsoever. And that's you're setting yourself up for failure. You might as well not even put it in your portfolio if you're going to do that, because nobody's going to give a crap about what you're drawing. If you're just doing another dragon, another elf mage, another half-naked chick holding a gun that's too big for their body, like, nobody's going to care. What you have to do is you got to put some emotion behind it. It's the same thing as screenwriters, writing scripts, and there are certain successful movies where you actually care about the characters. All right, you have to establish it. Well, think about a 2D artist for a minute. You don't have this hour and a half to 2 hour time frame to like a character. You have 8 seconds. That's not an exaggeration. 8 seconds. If you put your work in front of a hiring manager, they don't care that your portfolio is 30 pages long. All they care about is if the first couple images grab their attention. And if it's the same frickin' thing over and over and over again that they see over and over and over again from all students, they're not going to care, and you're not going to get a job. I don't know why I just went on that tangent, but it's true. Because I've been a victim of that. I shouldn't say a victim. I've been guilty of that. Okay. So the face. It's looking pretty gnarly. I just watched The Void again. Those of you that don't know what The Void is, you can watch that on, I believe it's Shudder now. It's one of the few. You can't even call them straight to videos anymore if it's on a platform, because there's just no such thing as videos. I mean, Netflix is really upping their game as far as funding for Netflix movies now. But I watched The Void on Shudder, and it's an amazing Lovecraftian cosmic horror movie. It was really, really good. Okay, so now we got this. Let's establish some of these feet here, because I don't want to just put these into oblivion and I have no idea what's going on here. So they're going to be sharp little hooks. I guess it's going to push itself along. We have to indicate some of these behind it. So it's probably going to be this large one. So we'll put it in perspective and we'll put it back here. Now, you're probably wondering first off, how do I know to put that leg back there? Because it's the farthest one back. So in perspective on the other side of the body, the shoulder joint's going to be on this side. So it's probably going to bend around the back of that too. And I'm barely pushing with my pen. All right, so I've made a couple videos already where if you want to have a good shading technique with the pen, you can't tilt it to the side and expect it to spread graphite or spread the ink like it does graphite with a pencil. Okay, but you still can achieve somewhat of the same effect. You just turn it to the side and lightly rub the brass tip across there, and it just takes a little bit more patience. And you'll start to see the gap open up. Okay, like gaps in the paper, and then you just hit it at different angles, like this. So then when you zoom in, you'll be able to see it. You see that roughness right there? That's what you can do. Now, you don't want to tilt your pen up like this, because then you end up making definitive lines, and you can't get rid of those. So you definitely don't want to do that. Okay, so now that I have this, I don't really need to worry too much about that back tail because I'm going to be doing another view where we'll show what that looks like. So how do I turn this sucker to another view and still keep it looking like the same creature? The first thing you have to do is establish the largest shapes first. Okay, so we have to break this creature down into the most basic shapes it is. Look at the head. It's an egg. It's literally an egg, and then you have a cylindrical shape that's like a caterpillar. That's it. Okay, I'm telling you, keeping things simple. The hardest thing about this is going to be placing the legs. But once we get the proportions right, we'll know where to place those legs. Okay, so let me darken the actual body so you can see it, especially under here, under there. Okay, so like right in there. Oh, I got to do this thing. Give me 1 second. Okay. Darken that right here, right there, so you can see the legs. Okay, so once we have this, let's do the back view. But we're going to do it in a completely different position and do it up here. Okay, this is what concept art is all about. If you're a concept artist or an aspiring concept artist wanting to get a job in a studio, you have to be able to take one of your designs and do multiple iterations of this. Same thing with industrial design, same thing with, like, if you're a car designer, a product designer, a concept artist, if you design weapons, character, doesn't matter. You got to be able to do this. If you don't like doing it, then you're probably not going to get a job. Hands down. Okay, look at the shape first. Let's do the S. But let's tilt the body. So maybe it's tilted a little bit. So you're probably wondering, wait a minute, why this crooked S? What am I doing? I'll show you what I'm doing. See this oval right here? Okay, we're going to do the oval here. Now, the head is rather pointed. So it's almost as if I took an egg that's sitting horizontally and I just tilted it a little bit. So the head is pointing at a 45-degree angle. So if I turn the creature around and I have this S shape being the center line of the creature, but it's turned a little bit. Okay, I want to point upwards. So I'm going to do a slight construction line. You'll be able to see it barely. Okay, I'll do a little arrow. Here's a little arrow right there. Okay, do the oval. Now it's looking up like this. The center line is literally its spinal cord. All right. Now I'm going to do the body. So if you look back here, you'll notice that the shoulder joint to the far back limb is poking out some. It's not going to be a smooth transition from the head all the way to the tip of the tail. No, it's going to come out just a little bit. So that means that when I'm doing the body coming down, I'm going to do another hump out like this. Because remember, the back arm has to come out of that. And one of my good friends, Dave Melvin, he always said it's good to add a little bit of chaos to your designs. So that means if you don't want to make boring creatures, if you're going to do multiple limbs, multiple tendrils and mandibles and whatever is hanging off of these things, they're not all going to flow the same direction. That's not what happens in nature. Feathers don't flow the same direction. Jellyfish's tentacles do not all flow the same direction underwater, do they? No. All right. So let's do this tail. And then let's bend it up. Okay, so now what I'm doing is, well, it kind of looks like a tadpole. Kind of looks like, yeah, other stuff. But we are going to start adding some substance to it. All right. So another good trait or skill to have when you're a concept artist is knowing how to draw through the object and knowing what's happening on the other side. These tentacles, these two main gigantic stinging tentacles are coming out of the front of the face, but it's happening right past the oval, okay? So this whole top of the head right here is the lip. This is the lip. So that means the tentacles are under it. So that means that I have to go under this. I'm going to put very lightly 2 circles that we would physically not be able to see as humans because, let me put this in a little bit, we won't be able to see those because we do not have X-ray vision, right? Now I'm going to put a tentacle out, and here's what I mean by chaos. So if I have a tentacle coming up like this, okay, see that? Let me straighten this up just a little bit so you can see it. Okay, see that tentacle coming up? You don't want the tentacle next to it being the same exact thing. So let's bend it a little bit. So there's the lip again. So now you have to give the illusion that the tentacles are happening underneath that lip, which is exactly what's happening over here with the body, okay? So that's what we're going to do. Instead of making it predictable, I'm going to bend this one down. Okay, so the second question that you will probably get, or probably ask yourself, is how do I know how long to make those things? Well, let's look at the proportions here real quick. These are not straight, they're bent, okay? But if we just simply take our pen like this, take our thumb, and go to the end of the tentacle that we drew, and that's how long it is bent coming out of the body. All right, so that's like a rough estimate. Now let's see, okay, let's zoom out a little bit. Now let's see how long that is going down the body. So it looks like about mid-belly. So now I'm going to measure that bent one, and then I'm going to go down here, and it looks like my thumb is right about mid-belly. So now I know the body is long enough and the tentacles are at a good size. Okay? That's what you need to be able to do. All right, so let's get back in there and let's draw the rest of it. All right, I'm going to try something out here. That's probably a little better so you can see it, huh? There we go. I have two sets of light sources. I have my window, natural light, can't beat that. And then I have a light that's on the holder for my phone. And I don't know if I really like that, so I don't think I'm going to use that anymore. All right, legs. This is the fun part. Now look at these suckers. How many joints are there? Okay, we got the shoulder. That's one. So let's put it up like this. Let's put this one out like this. Look at that first joint. Okay, we got to put that in. This one bends down. It's not very long, so we're going to bend that down. Bend that down. Then we got another joint, and it looks like it's bending in towards the body. So guess what? We're going to do the same thing. We're going to bend that one in towards the body. Okay, you don't want to skip this step, guys. You definitely don't want to skip this step. Now, when that comes down, we have another joint, and it looks like it's slightly bent, but we're not copying this position. So this one's probably going to go up, and then there's another one, so it looks like the whole shin just bends. I'm calling it a shin because I don't know what else to call it. All right, so let's just do that. And then we got another ankle joint down here. So let's make that a little thicker. Like that. It's like fine. Okay. There we go. And then this one is going to be catching weight on the ground. Okay, so now the only difference is these two little hooked hands or fingers. We're going to see the backs of them over here. So we're going to do the claw going forward. So you're going to see the palm of the hand, and then you're going to see the two claws. But this one over here, you're going to see bend up, as if it's lifting up, similar to what cats do when they walk, or whatever else it is. All right, so I'm not really happy with the thickness of that, so let's just make it a little thicker. Yeah, this thing's pretty gross. And I'm also thinking that maybe I want to add in just a little bit more detail around this back part. How cool would that be? Here, this is totally on the fly. What creature is complete without spikes going down the middle of the back? You don't have to, but I want to, so I will. All right. Now here's the other thing, just a little side note to make things more believable, especially if you're doing something with spikes. You want to honor that center line. This is why putting the center line in to different views is so important. That way you know where the heck those things will grow out of. and you have to know how you're going to turn them. You see these right here? Those are facing directly towards us, and then they get more upright. So now, all of a sudden, that twisting motion of the spikes is way more believable because the direction that they're coming out of the back follows the contours of that back. That's what you have to be careful of. Okay, let's put in these other arms. These are going to be really strange. And also, they're probably going to overlap. So I'm going to put, this is going to be fun. All right, one joint, two joint. That one's more straight, so I'm going to keep that one straight. And then that one is coming back. Oh man, this is looking so weird. Okay, this one is going to be strange catching the weight because it's actually going to be bending right at us. Okay, so it's almost as if somebody's doing a push-up and you're looking at them from above over their back, and you're going to see that joint with their elbow pointing directly at us. Okay, so now it's definitely got to catch its weight in the back. So you have all these crazy different angles here. And then we got one more leg. We're going to make this a little bit more challenging. We're going to keep that leg in the front. We're not even going to see it. Boom. And then we're going to keep just an indication of where that joint would be right under there. And then we're just going to show where that arm could exist. But it's in front of the body, so we won't even see it bend. But now we're going to start putting details in this view. So let's stretch some skin out. This creature doesn't really have any latissimus muscles, so I'm not even going to do that. Or lats for short. But I do want to do this, so let's indicate it in the front one. I want to put some sections in here. Now this is eye level, so these flatten out, and then once they get up here, they're going to curve again. Like that. Same thing here. Okay, it's eye level there, and then it curves around again. Okay, so we want to put those in this view also. There we go. Now, when you're looking at this, there's not a lot of detail, but at the same time, I'm still giving you a cleaner concept than if I were to just guess on where these things should be poking out everywhere, because you definitely don't want to do that. You want to give purpose to all the shapes that you draw in your creature, no matter how complex. Okay, now let's say that you wanted to do a front view. Okay, so we have this right here, this front view right here. Well, front 3/4 view. All right, now we're going to do the oval again. I'm going to do the center line. The only difference is the center line is going to be the middle of its mouth and its stomach. Okay, and then that egg shape is going to be right here. And then the body, we're not going to see this bulbous trapezius / third arm joint poking out. Not really, because that's in the back. But what we are going to see is a bend in that part of the body. So this is the tummy. Okay, so that's the stomach. Up here, these two circles, it's going to look a little creepy now, but that's where those tentacles come out. So here's what I mean by chaos. We're going to have those tentacles bend right at us, but they're not going to be the same. Like this. Okay, and then we're going to have those be a little thicker. There we go. Now, could I put more detail in the front? Yes, I could definitely do that in that view. However, I think what I'm going to do now is keep it for this one so that I can really show off whatever that mouth is, like whatever's happening in there, which is most likely pretty gnarly. Okay, another view, you still have to honor what's growing on your original design. What's growing on my original design? You have that center spike row going down the entire body. So in this angle, if the first spike is set a little bit farther back, there's a space right here on the head. So I'm looking at this, and it looks like the head is kind of poking up towards us a little bit. We won't be able to see a spike, so we're not going to show it. Little subtle cues like that are really going to make your creatures believable, especially when you hand your creatures off to a 3D department, because whatever you draw in 2D, they are going to model exactly what you drew in 2D. And that's not an exaggeration. Okay. That's why being a successful 2D artist, well, I'm sorry, that's like technical wise. Being a successful concept artist, showing your concepts true to form, means that you have to tell the art department exactly what's happening from head to toe of your creatures, even the toenails. Because the modeling department, wherever that may be, in-house or overseas, they're going to model exactly what they see, and it's not their fault if it's not what you thought it should be. Okay? Always remember that. You got to make the 3D department's life easier, not harder. And also, just a little side note, those of you that are like trying to break into the industry, or maybe you're in, you just started out, it is not up to the 3D artist to finish your designs. All right, you need to design these, and then they will model what you design. Okay. Okay. Probably we can put some teeth. Yes. So I've indicated teeth, but they're going towards the opening. So how do I show that in this view? All right. Well, it's going to be a little perspective. So this entire front fascia is protruding outwards this way because the tentacles are coming out. You can see how I drew it. Okay, so like the opening of the tentacle is flush with the side of the head right there. Okay, and then the teeth are going back farther than the opening of the tentacles. So that means that if I were to draw the teeth, they're going to go in like this. Perspective, perspective. Okay, and then you have that little skin flap right there where the teeth are coming out. Okay, maybe they're like bent downwards a little bit more. It's kind of gnarly. All right, and then maybe in here, this is when you really get to show off these teeth, man. Maybe there's a mouth in here that they can't see. And that's where you can get really gnarly. Maybe there's some like, not predator manuals, but almost warthog tusks coming out. Okay, so if they're coming out there, I'm going to put them here. Okay, just to keep the design flowing, I guess you could say. Okay, I'll put that skin down here so that it looks like that skin is going to bend down the neck. It's going to attach to the neck. There we go. Okay, so we can't see this part in the first view that we did. But what I will do is I will indicate what the inside of the mouth actually is, a location, if I just put black in there with the ink. Okay, so that's the inside of the mouth. These are the teeth above it. And maybe there's some nasty skin or whatever material these things are made out of that's right there. I could put eyes in there, but why would I want to put eyes in there when this is creepy enough? Okay, so we're going to have the outside skin layer just bend all the way down. So remember, we have two that we have to show in this view. We have the outside layer right there. And then we have the inside layer, which is the side of the mouth. Okay, so we have the outside. And then we have the inside layer, which is the mouth. Okay, and then we can indicate very, very subtle shading in there. Okay. I'm going to darken right behind the tentacles because I believe there should be some shadows happening underneath that, like the front part of the... I am so sorry I have a loud chair. That was really loud. I think I broke it. It's a cheap chair. I need to get a good one. If you guys have some really good suggestions for gaming chairs, just to sit in, like the really comfortable office/gaming chairs, let me know in the comments. I would love some suggestions so I don't order the wrong thing. Okay, we got that. Okay, I got to stay away from that. All right, here we go. Now, how do we put these arms on the side. Well, it's not going to be as hard as you may think. I'm just going to indicate where some of these joints would be, since this thing is just poking right at us. Okay, so we have the first one, the second one, and then the third one in the back. Pretty self-explanatory, right? So I'm just going to go off the first one. You got the first joint, second joint. All right, and it looks like it's coming towards us because there's that joint right there. So we got to show where that is. I'll put it right here. Now, another thing that I like doing, even though this is asymmetrical, is if you're going to do something in another view, I always like to establish what's happening on one side of it first. So then we can look at all the details you put and then go to the other side and make sure that you duplicate those details. Okay. And this might seem counterintuitive based on what some of you have learned, but whenever I do human faces and I want to make sure that the eyes look symmetrical in the face, I just go all out and put all the details on one side of the face first, so I know what I'm putting on the other side. That's all. That's just how I operate. Let me know if you do that too. I would love to hear that. Okay. It's kind of a weird bend. Now that's too long. All right. Yes, that's probably a mistake, but this is concept art, so we got to fix the concepting problems. What I mean by too long is this shoulder joint right here is equivalent to this one, the middle one. Okay. That first, I guess, I don't know what bone that is in there, but that one is probably too long right here. So let's see if we can put the shoulder in, and then we'll just bend it down, and then we'll bend it again, and it's still bent towards us also. So I'm going to put some little ovals in here where all the joints are so I don't get mixed up. We'll just keep that flowing off. Maybe we'll put some spikes on it. I don't know. And that's kind of hiding behind the other one. See that? It's kind of hiding behind the other one. All right, so we're going to want to bring in a little bit of chaos, right? So these two they're not identical, but I don't want to keep them the exact same. So that outer leg right there, what if we bent it out here, and then that second joint, and then it bent inwards, and then this one bent out, and then that one bent out, and then you have the toes coming in. Pretty crazy. Okay, let's put that tail in the back right there. It's not a long tail either. All right, so check out the design sheet so far. Here I am. All right, so let's get this in here. This is what it is, folks. This is what it's all about. All right. Okay, so now we have this. He's saying hi to you. I wonder what we should name him. Or if it's a she, I don't know. Maybe her name's Helga. This is Helga. Okay. No offense to those out there named Helga. It's a beautiful name. But I think we should just name the creature Helga. I don't know. Or if you just want to name it Steve. Maybe you name it Steve. You know, it's like Minecraft. Steve and Alex. Like, why not? Okay. Now that I know what these arms are doing on this side, maybe we can start playing around with this side a little bit. All right. And then once we play around with this, why don't we have one of the arms coming directly at us? Because we can. Put some joints in there. All right. We got to make sure that we put the same amount of joints in there, so I don't want to screw it up. The front leg. Okay, we got one joint, two joint, three joint, four joint, and then the shoulder. So one joint, two joint, third joint. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then the shoulder. See, I have to be careful. Okay, so now let's have these bent backwards, and then they just come out, and then they're in hiding. So we know what's back there. We know it's back there. Okay, we got that shoulder joint. That second one that I'm working on, it's going to be a little higher than this one. Okay, so that's there. I'm drawing through the object. This is part of the industrial design thing I was talking about. Drawing through the object. And then this big one. What should we do with the big one? Well, it's got some pretty gnarly hooked fingers right there. What if they were just coming directly at us? Like that. Okay, so let's follow these joints. This one's pretty bent. That's really bent, actually severely bent. It's going to be bent like this. There's the first joint. Second one. Okay, and then it looks like it bends outwards to probably its knee. So let's just put that knee in there. Okay, and then let's bend it down a little bit. So it's going to be behind that tentacle. And then there's another joint in there. There's the shoulders. All right, so now we have 3 different views of the same creature. And I mean, it's not going to be absolutely perfect, like no. But you can definitely work on a sheet like this. So a lot of times if you do film work, for movies, they usually just like seeing open concepts like this just to get the ball rolling. And then they may never contact you again. Okay, so if you just show them, hey, this is what could exist on this creature, then you're probably going to be successful at it. Hopefully you like today's lesson, guys. Like, subscribe, especially comment. I would love to hear the comments. I've been hearing some really good ones lately. You know, just struggles that you all have had with drawing. It's giving me a really good perspective on the types of lessons that you all would like to see me do. Yeah, man, I'm having a lot of fun here. So, without further ado, check out the description, join our Discord for free, Creature Design Workshop, and post your awesome sketches that you've been doing. All right, later, folks.